Hey, hi everyone. This is Ranmay here on your show E-Coffee with Experts. Today we have Jim. Jim is the co-founder at Legiit. And thank you, Jim, for taking your time for the show tonight.
A pleasure. I'm very happy to be here.
Great. Looking forward. Jim, before we move forward and discuss about the SEO and digital marketing at large, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audiences.
Sure. So my name is Jim Sabellico. I've been in the digital marketing space for about 11 years at this point. I started my digital agency, J. Lewis, with the intent of really helping people to kind of grow their small and medium-sized business to what we call the freedom point, which is where they can step away from the business and let it run in a more automated fashion. So that way you're not spending 40, 50 hours a week micromanaging every part of it. So what we really aim to do at this point is work with people to get them to a spot where everything kind of works together. There's a system and a process where there's a really nice conversion funnel. The website works well. You've got leads coming in. Everything just works nice and smooth. So there's a system in place. So you can go and just live and enjoy your life. And that's what I've done for a lot of businesses. And it's just very enjoyable. It's fun. And I really just love talking about that. So happy to be here.
In town, in terms of doing your own agency, being a part of multiple businesses. So what advice would you give to someone, who is looking to start out their own venture?
I would, I'd start with finding out what you're passionate about, not what you think is going to make the most money. Because I've seen a lot of people start a business just to make money, and those businesses ultimately don't work as well. So I would start looking at what things you're really passionate about, what really gives you purpose, and look to build a business around that, not just what's going to make the most money tomorrow.
Very well said. Because, the passion is something which is going to last you in the long run, as they say. Yeah.
Right.
And then how important do you think, when you're starting out, or in general as well, to have a mentor or a role model, when you're diving into, trying to start your own business?
I think it's important, not just when you're starting out, but for the entirety of your business. I don't think I've ever seen a business owner who knows everything. And the most successful business owners I know who've been doing this for 15, 20 years still have a mentor or someone who's a little bit ahead of them who can help guide them and coach them. So I would say 100% always have someone who's a little bit ahead of you that you can lean on.
Great. And talking about starting your own agency, how did you go about acquiring, some of your first few customers, and then once you had a customer base, obviously retaining them is a different ball game. But how did you kind of acquire those first few customers?
So I did it really just reaching out to people saying, hey, I noticed that such and such, whatever was your website needed a little bit of help. This is broken or this could be improved. Can I offer to help? And I did it for free. So I didn't charge them anything. I just started building relationships and caring a lot about the people that I was working with. And once I kind of just started to build those relationships and they saw that I'm not just someone who's coming here just trying to get $1 out of them, but genuinely cared about their success, they wanted to pay, right? They wanted to give me money. They wanted to support me, and they wanted to introduce me to their friends who they knew who also needed help. And that word of mouth referral was tremendous. I grew this business almost entirely through word of mouth, from people making recommendations off the fact that they knew I was someone that they could like and trust who actually genuinely cared about their business. So start by doing the right thing and genuinely caring about that purpose, why you're doing the business in the first place. And to me, I feel like if you can do that, the growth will happen by itself.
Absolutely. A couple of pointers, if I were to pick it from there, building relationships and caring for your client's actual business. So that is the mantra, right? And, talking about, you touched upon, doing website audit for free and, and then taking it forward from there. So that's the crux of it. You do an audit and then see what all things that needs to be improved upon and then take it from there. So, while you're looking at a website or let's say doing an audit for a client of yours, what are the top three priorities, that you look at from an SEO perspective?
I generally want to look at conversion. Conversion to me is the number one most important thing that you could look at, because getting traffic to the site from SEO or ads is great, but if the traffic doesn't convert, then it's a waste of money and time. So for me, I like to look at a conversion, right? So how can we make sure that the traffic that comes here actually does something and converts? And then are there areas where they can improve, whether it's design, copy, and any of those things? And then look for very obvious things that might be broken, whether it's SSL that's not working or some broken images or page speed. In general, I find that a lot of people tend to go too in depth, where they send this 30-page PDF that says you've got 807 errors on your website, let me fix them. That's not genuine, right? That's not, hey, I happen to notice there's this thing that's not working on your site. Can I tell you about it? Don't go overboard. Keep it really simple and just try and tell people, hey, there's this thing that I noticed. Do you want help? Yes, I'll help you. If not, also fine. I just wanted you to know.
Mm-hmm. Just the important ones out there, which actually will make a difference versus, putting the website on a tool, getting those, 800-900 errors and just copy pasting the report and sharing it. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. And then, what do you think, is the key to designing a very high, because like you mentioned, conversion is very important, right? So what do you think is the key to preparing or designing a high converting landing page, and are there any specific elements that you believe are essential for a landing page success?
Yeah. So two things I think are really important. One is being very clear and concise on what you want them to do. So if you want them to hit a button, you want that button to be very obvious, right? You don't want there to be a super long page that has a ton of different options and flashing lights and all sorts of things. You want to make it very simple. You are here because I want you to do this thing. So if you can keep it very focused and free of distractions, that's super important. And the second thing would just be communicate exactly what they want. Don't try and go around it, tell this big fancy story. Just make sure that you're communicating very clearly what it is that they're expecting and what it is that you're expecting. That really helps to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
Absolutely. And then make those, call to action buttons really loud and clear and large, with
and also
want them to, yeah.
Yep. You want to make it clear that they know, hey, when I press this button, this is what's going to happen. So there's no surprises. They know exactly what's going to happen when they do each thing.
Absolutely. And those should be loud and clear in front of your eyes. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And then, what are some of the latest trends? We are still in early 2023. What are some of the latest trends in digital marketing? That can be used to convert website visitors to leads. Like you mentioned, there is a lot of traffic coming in, but you're not actually generating the right amount of leads. So then there is no point. So how do you see that journey from being able to convert those website visitors to leads?
I think clarity and communication is very important. Video has helped tremendously with that. Just to give a very quick 30, 60-second video from either the spokesperson or the owner of the store, just saying, hey, you're here because I want you to do this. Just so they can understand very clearly exactly why they're there and what they're going to receive when they hit that button or do the thing that you want them to do. Video is very helpful for conveying emotion, making sure everyone's on the same page. They understand very clearly who you are and can kind of get a feel for your personality. So video has been very important. I have seen a trend, I'm sure everyone has, toward AI generated content. To me, stay far away from it as far as relying on that to be the thing that's going to convert people. It's very lazy, especially if you're making AI generated videos and just hoping that that's going to be something you could run an ad to and then money is going to fall from the sky. It never works that way. But, if you want to use it to create some blog posts and create some content, that's fine. I wouldn't rely on it to be the core component of that landing page, which is really going to, convert someone into an actual customer.
Talking about AI, how does AI, in fact, if you feel it does at all, helps to speed up the process of optimizing your sales funnel? Do you think at all? If it does, then how?
I do think it does to some degree help to give you an idea. So if you've done this before, you generally have some ideas you've worked on in the past where you can use those as a starting point. If you haven't, sometimes it helps to, use a tool that's going to generate some content for you and just give you like a starting point. I wouldn't use that tool to generate content and just put it on the page and then leave it at that. But I would go to the tool, create some content, and then say, all right, I like the way that this says this. Let me reword it a little bit in my words and make it sound like my personality. So it definitely does help as a starting point. I just wouldn't leave it at the generated content by itself.
And then what is your take on ChatGPT?
It's a very powerful tool. It could do a lot of things. I think like any tool that we've seen in the past, which is amazing, people use and abuse it too much. And then all of a sudden they realize, hey, everything is generic, right? There's no more personality in this website because everything is computer generated. Everything's AI generated. Every website has come from ChatGPT. It loses the personality and the individuality of the customer. So there will be a shift toward people using that because people are lazy and they like to get this tool and save time and whatever else. But then in the next couple months, we'll start to shift back toward the individuality and the personality because you can't fake that, right? So when you put your authentic self in front of the customer, that'll connect on a much deeper level than just some generated blog article.
All right, absolutely makes sense. It can only pick up as much as it finds. Something which isn't there, it cannot be trapped by AI either. So if you're thinking something creative, something new, then it has to be in your own brains and your own hands writing that content. Great. And then what is since we are now touching on content, what are some of the tips that you would advise for writing SEO? Content that ranks and engages visitors.
I don't really know if there is one that I could pinpoint. I think it varies a lot based on the individual and their industry. I don't know that I've seen one specific one that I could really pinpoint.
No worries. Talking about keyword research, what is your process at Legiit or of doing keyword research? We have these tools that gives you right up front, but as far as my experience goes, every agencies have their own way of working out on keywords which they want to target for their clients, right? So how does it look like for Legiit or US for that matter?
Sure. As far as keyword research for me personally is concerned, I'll tend to look at a tool to kind of give a good understanding of, hey, what does the data say? That's always a good starting point, but you can't not use your brain, which is, I think, a spot that unfortunately a lot of people stop at is they type in a keyword, generate some ideas, and then just use that. And that doesn't ultimately work. You need to be able to use your own brain and interpret that data, as well as think of some other variables. So all that data is good, but it's got to be a starting point, and you need to be able to use other information. Once you generate that from a report, go do your own research, go into Search Console, go look for things that people have pulled up your website for in the past. Start looking for commonalities there, and then look for, are there other terms that might relate that you're just not paying attention to yet? Those have been very helpful for me.
Absolutely. Those long tail keywords, and maybe for keywords wherein you stand a very good chance, versus just targeting the keywords for which your competitors are ranking on page one. Yeah. And they might have a very high DADR and you're not falling in that category. So it will take a lot of time for you to even, land up on the first page, forget the top three. Yeah. Again, like I said, like you said, everyone has their own way of looking at it. Yeah. So, how do you balance keyword, cannibalization versus covering a topic comprehensively in regards to each?
I would focus more on the comprehensiveness than anything else. That and creating just a lot of content around it. So you're going to have a lot of different pages that are going to rank well. To me, I've always been more of the mindset that what you want is traffic, not necessarily to rank number one for a certain keyword. So you have to keep that in mind, because a lot of people are like, hey, I want to rank number one for this keyword because this keyword has a lot of traffic. But they forget that if you instead go rank number two for these 15 keywords, which may ultimately be a lot easier, you're going to get 3 times the amount of traffic than if you ranked number one for this one, which is a lot harder. So, a lot of it is this ego and pride where we want to be number one for this super difficult keyword because, again, free money from the sky. But it's got to be realistic. You got to look at, hey, how can I get people on the site, right? That's what you want. You don't really care about the ranking. You care about people on the site. So just look at different ways to get that.
Absolutely. I have seen a lot of businesses focusing on, let's say overall traffic without realizing that, that may not be US traffic for that particular keyword. The number might be huge for global traffic, but it does not really make sense to me if I am a local business and the traffic is not there, segregated in that particular area. So yeah, a lot of, number crunching to be done in terms of, how actually that will get more traffic and legit traffic to your website.
Right.
And talking about traffic, link building, what do you think about it? I'll leave it open for you. What do you think is the role of link building in your SEO strategy? What factors do you consider, when evaluating the value of a backlink?
So link building is still super important. And to me, I think there's a tremendous amount of value in that. And, showing exactly how relevant your site is to other sites and kind of creating that. But you really want to focus on the quality of those. Through Legiit, you're able to kind of go in and go into the marketplace aspect of it there and look for high quality links. And there's, a ton of really good suppliers in there. That to me has been an incredible resource as far as where I personally go to get those links. You just really want to focus on getting them and making sure that they are quality. There's a lot of people who will provide backlinks, but you don't want to be getting 5,000 links from spammy sites or from low quality sites. I'd rather get one from someone who's, higher quality.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, do it through PBMs and there are other methods as well. But gone are the days when, Google used to just check for the numbers, the quantity. Now we have to look at the quality at the same time as well. So do you also do hero link building, or is it something that, you don't do for your clients?
I don't do it in-house. We usually just outsource those through different sellers on Legiit. And it does work well. It's just, it's one of those things that takes time. It's not something that you can just do immediately, right? You've got to do quality over quantity. You got to make sure that you put in the work. But if you do, it works out great.
Absolutely. And that has its own cycles. Yeah, it takes a bit of time before you actually get, a hero link to your clients or your own website for that matter. Yeah.
Right.
So, talking about, moving on to local search. Yeah. Can you share some tips in terms of, how businesses can optimize their website for local search results? Or maybe, if you can throw in a trick or two that, your team does at Legiit or GWS for, optimizing the local search results for your clients.
Sure. Yeah, I think, showing a lot of relevance to that area is super important. And, a lot of people forget that it's important to really be clear on that, right? You really want to be clear on, hey, this is our service area. This is who we service. This is where we are as a business. And this is how impactful we are in this region. So making sure that everything really relates to that, whether it's your website, all the contact information, the content on the page speaks about that specific area. Your URLs, everything is really relevant to that. Setting up your site structure to make sure it has those pages in it. Those things are really important. Not just saying, hey, we service this area and then get a couple reviews for your business and then hope for the best. Everything has to be really relevant to that area you want to serve.
Absolutely. And then, before we kind of let you go, one final one, since we are talking about local, search results, how important do you feel, reviews are for any local or small business for in a particular territory?
That's a difficult question because ultimately I do think a lot of people look at reviews and review count to make a decision. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people who use reviews as a tool for getting what they want out of a business. So it's a mix, right? I think having a lot of reviews is very helpful. So if you have a good process for speaking with your customers and saying, hey, were you happy? Yes. All right, cool. Go leave us a review. I'd love for you to do that. That's really important. Making sure you respond to reviews, making sure you do things like that. That's also super important. But not buying reviews. Definitely do not do that. Don't get spammy with it. Don't try and play that game because that just does not work out well.
True. Great. So, thank you, Jim, for sharing such important insights. I'm sure our audience would have benefited a lot. But before we let you go, I would like to play a quick rapid fire. Are you game for it?
Yeah, I'm game.
All right. Great. Talking about game, what is your favorite sport?
To watch baseball, to play lacrosse.
Okay. What did you do with your first salary?
Saturday, what did I do?
What did you do with your first salary, first paycheck?
Oh, salary. Oh, okay. I bought toys. I was a little kid. So I went to the store and I bought some toys from the Jurassic Park movie.
Okay. And that's an interesting one which I've heard from any of my guests in along. And, when do you plan your next vacation? Anything on the mind?
Yeah, I think we're going away next week. We travel a lot. So I don't know that we call them vacations necessarily, but, working from home, you get to be where you want when you want. So we're going to be going away again next week.
Okay. I know that one final thing that you want, probably, to achieve, either from an agency perspective, from a business perspective, on a personal plan, if you want to share that one thing that you want to achieve.
I'd like for more people to redefine success, not in terms of dollars, but in terms of impact on their community and their families.
Oh, okay. Nice. Really nice thought. Really appreciate it. Great. So I would not bother you any further with my question. So thank you, Jim. It has been a real pleasure hosting you. Like I mentioned, I'm sure our audience would have, loved hearing insights from you. And I will try and get hold of you for another episode sometime down the line, but we both hear one. Yeah. So thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.